This podcast is not suitable for children or those who are easily disturbed. Spoiler warning for whatever is in the title of this episode.
And now for the obligatory socials. Please like, share and subscribe. Follow Daniel at dstarsick on Twitter. Follow Ryan at Darth Damio on the Bluebird app. You can find the podcast on Twitter at HorrorPod69. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Slasher and Goodreads. Become part of the Disturbed community by asking for the Facebook group and Discord links. Send dick pics to the Horror of Babylon podcast at gmail.com. Support the show at patreon.com/thehorrorofbabylon. In closing, you can let your friends know that The Horror of Babylon is available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible and all other major podcast apps.
Welcome to episode Horror 9 at Horror 9. Hold on. Welcome to Warehouse 9, where the government puts all its freaky shit. Welcome to the Horror of Babylon, episode 49, where we are discussing Hellraiser 2022. I am Ryan. With me, as always, is Daniel. Say hi, Daniel.
Hi, Daniel.
All right, we did it. We got through it.
We got through the intro.
Okay, so we're reviewing the new Hellraiser, which just came out last month. So we're not going to go into our history of this film, but what were your expectations as a Hellraiser fan and a Clive Barker fan as this movie was in production and about to be released?
It got better as the release came because more like news came out about it. Mm-hmm. When it was first announced, it was mostly dooming. There's been Hellraiser like reboots and development on and off for like the last so many years. Clive Barker was getting fucked out of rights. Or fucked out of credit.
Boo.
But then, like, they're like, oh, well, Clive Barker's attached to this one. Oh, yay.
Yeah.
They attached a director who is at least semi-competent. So it's another yay. You start saying things that you recognize, and they're like, well, we're not using Doug Bradley, but look at these Cinebite, like, screenshots. And they're like, oh, that looks so cool.
Yeah.
So, you know, as production moved along, my expectations increased.
And I had no expectations.
Yeah.
The vampire's a pure myth, superstition. I may be able to bring you proof that the superstition of yesterday can become the scientific reality of today.
All right, so a little background. This film premiered on September 28th at the Fantastic Fest, which is a film festival, and then actually released in the United States on October 7th on Hulu as a streaming exclusive. So if you don't have Hulu, you can do the 7-day free trial and watch this and then cancel it, although there's probably better stuff to watch on Hulu if you're going to have it for 7 days.
Yes.
It was directed by David Bruckner, who is a horror director guy. Did The Ritual, The Night House, a portion of VHS, which is an anthology film.
Seen all of them. I recommend all of them, except I think The Night House's ending is a little wonky. And so is the ending to The Ritual.
Yeah. But also, the ending to Hellraiser was a little wonky and still great. Writing-wise, the screen story, as it's called, was the brainchild of 3 different writers, and then the full screenplay was written by 2 people. One of the 3 who didn't actually end up writing the screenplay, but was involved in it conceptually, was David S. Goyer, who wrote all 3 Blade movies, all 3 Christian Bale Batman movies, Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, the Sandman Netflix series, and is writing the upcoming Masters of the Universe movie.
He's written a lot, and people have opinions about him.
So that is quite the pedigree, and that's just what I included. Like there's more. And then the actual screenplay was written by Ben Collins and Luke Piotrowski, who are writing partners who wrote Siren, The Night House, which was a David Bruckner movie, Stephanie in Super Dark Times.
I love that title.
Yeah, Super Dark Times. So both IMDb and Wikipedia call this movie an adaptation of The Hellbound Heart. Wikipedia also describes it as a titular reboot.
That's just, I don't know, Orwellian doublespeak to make it sound better than it actually is.
It's more accurate than calling it an adaptation of the...
It's more accurate than calling it an adaptation. It's not an adaptation of the short story.
Originally, the project was announced in October 2007 and planned to be released around 2012. However, it was canceled in 2011 after Hellraiser Revelations was released.
Yep.
The project was revived in 2019 after the success of the Halloween remake in 2018, and presumably also after the success of It in 2017, which the financial success of that movie has just led to a lot more money being thrown at horror movies in recent years.
Smile that I just went to go see just made across $200 million on, I think, a $17 million budget.
Damn! We will be getting more horror movies.
Yeah.
Which is good. And I'm sure a lot of them will be bad, but whatever. It's something to watch.
It's fodder.
And this is a quote about the reception of the film that I took right from the Wikipedia article, which it kind of described my feelings on it. So I'm just going to read this quote. The film received lukewarm reviews from critics, with some deemed it an improvement over its predecessors and the best film since the original film, and while others praised it as a new take on the series, faithfulness to the tone of the source material and Clayton's performance, but criticized it for its formulaic screenplay, rushed characters, and an overlong runtime.
It's almost like David Goyer was attached to it.
I like a lot of those movies.
Shots across the bow.
I could not find anything on the budget. Didn't spend hours looking for it, but I could not find the budget. And because it's a streaming movie, there's no figure there to give. However, it did have a theatrical release outside of the United States, in which it took in $12,640. Now, that may have been like one weekend in one city. So maybe it came out in London in theaters for 2 days. Or something like that.
That sounds like the budget for one of the Cenobite costumes.
Yeah, don't take that number to the bank.
Yeah, there was a lot of like warm fan reception to it, especially like leading up to its release. There was a lot of cheerleaders, and a lot of that came from fucking cultural war nonsense. Pinhead was now a woman, so of course there had to be some people to comment on that, even though in the original short story kind of looked feminine and had, at the same time, Doug Bradley's pretty iconic, and people really ragged on the 2 Hellraiser movies he wasn't in. So this isn't the first time people have ragged on a movie for not including Doug Bradley. You had people that were like cheerleading for this movie, and I think that they made themselves like it maybe a little bit more than...
I've done that before.
Yeah, it to me, it was a recency bias. The same thing I talked about with the Batman. Like, was it a good movie? Yeah, sure.
It's fine.
Would I say that this was the best one since 1987? Maybe. I think the first sequel's better. So this would maybe be my 3rd or 4th.
I mean, that's pretty good out of like 10 movies.
Yeah, but it's not like the second coming of the Hellraiser franchise that maybe some people want it to be. I don't want to take away from the thing because there's a lot I like in this movie, but there was some serious dick riding, and it all fucking stems from one group is mad that they made a change, and another group has to cheerlead for the mega corporation selling you a product.
Adaptation, reboot, reimagining, or other, like...
It's kind of a mix. Calling it an adaptation would be a stretch.
Yeah, because there's really almost nothing about it that's directly from the book.
There's tangential connections. Reimagining might also be a stretch because it has like all of those... It has everything in it that you want from a Hellraiser movie, except maybe Doug Bradley. And, spoiler alert, I'm a fan of the new Pinhead.
Jamie Clayton.
Yeah.
They did a great job.
Yeah. So, I guess reboot is probably what I'm leaning towards.
Are the previous 9 movies all the same continuity?
Sort of. Like any long-running horror franchise, it gets wonkier the
It gets
longer
murky.
you're going.
Yeah.
The first three are pretty solidly connected, and then the fourth one kinda is. Because, but there was a lot of, like, executive meddling in that movie, too. That's more entertaining to me than the actual movie ends up being. But you still get Pinhead in space. After that, pretty much every Hellraiser script was something that the studio owned, like, a script to, and turned it into a Hellraiser movie. They went, okay, we need to add Pinhead so we keep the rights.
Gross.
Which is probably why this ranks higher than a lot of them.
I didn't love this movie. Based on what you're talking, it sounds like it's better than the second half of the sequels.
Yeah.
Another thing, do we, like, really need to get hung up on labels like adaptations and reboots? And is that something we should do as nerds? Or is that just something we need to not worry about?
I don't think we need to worry about it. I think that people get hung up on it too much. I think it can make for an interesting discussion, but it's the same thing with, like, the dick riding or the hating. It turns into an argument of semantics. What does any of these words fucking matter at the end of the day?
Yeah.
What should matter is it entertaining? Now, like, that being said, like, if you made a movie about a morbidly obese man who flew by farting and called it Superman, okay, then at some point you might go, okay.
You might get sued by DC.
Or let's just even say DC put that out. At that point...
Written by Brian Michael Bendis.
Yeah. At some point, you know, you can go, okay, well, now maybe we have an issue. But at this point, like, it's Hellraiser.
It is Hellraiser. Yeah, I mean, it's got the box, it's got the Cenobites. They have nails all over their face. People get torn apart and terrible things happen. It's Hellraiser.
There's sexy men that I am almost 100% sure Clive Barker helped cast.
Yeah.
So
this is definitely falls into that issue that it's not so much an issue, but that thing that people bring up with modern movies is that everybody's sexy. There's nobody not attractive in this movie, except for maybe the chattering Cenobite.
I don't know. I'd fuck it.
No, I would not.
We're gonna go through each Cenobite and rate them on a scale of fuckability.
Sure, why not? Okay, that's fine. We'll do that we'll add that to homework. Okay. So we just kind of discussed our first point, like what elements of the Hellbound Heart and Hellraiser are present. We just did that.
Yeah, they're there.
Okay, so what's not there?
There is sex in this movie, but it seems to take a backseat to. You remember, like when we reviewed the book and I talked about it being like an allegory for addiction.
Yeah.
They kind of went like full throttle in this one with that, as opposed to the lines between pleasure and pain.
The main character literally has a drug addiction.
The guy in the walls also is addicted, and he kind of has the frank thing. He's seeking like higher sensation.
Yeah.
But it's all tying back to chasing the dragon.
Voight.
Yeah. Of your drug of choice, be it sex, in this case literally drugs,
or food, or video games, or cocaine.
But they took the addiction thing and just like really ran with it. Any sort of ideas of sex surprisingly take a back burner.
I was really kind of expecting sex to be a big thing. The first scene of the movie is a guy wandering around at an orgy. The next scene after that is the main character getting fucked.
Really hard.
Yeah. And I'm like, wow, this is going to be so sexed up.
And her brothers... not that being homosexual is inherently, I guess, sexy or sexual, but has a gay brother.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, oh, okay, cool. That's Clive Barker-y.
Yeah.
It's not that important.
That's not a deal breaker for me in any way.
Yeah.
But I definitely, like, sex is crucial to the book. It's crucial to the original movie. So I can definitely see that being something that's flagged up in a review.
Like, even with the Cenobites, like, they still look fucked up. They still look all leathered up. But they don't come across... This is hard to describe. And this might just be me reading into the older movies. There is almost an orgasmic quality to the way they acted in the original movies. Like, they were enjoying what they were. In this movie, they all almost seem tortured, except for, like, one or two of them.
That's true. So something that I wanted to flag up here is now I'm only coming at this from the book and the original movie. I've not seen any of the sequels. But based on those two pieces of media, it really seemed like the point was bad people getting punished. For the most part in those two stories, the good people get away. The one kind of questionable thing is Larry or Rory. Like, bad things ends up happening to him, and he's not like a bad guy.
Yeah, he's just kind of a cuck.
Yeah. But he gets caught up in it because of his wife and his brother. Mm-hmm. But like the truly innocent character, Kirsty gets away.
And bad people get punished.
In this, truly innocent characters get fucked and die.
Normally I don't like that. But as somebody who has a lot of family members and friends that have gone through very serious drug addiction, it fits.
Yeah, I guess the addiction theme is like her brother dies and it's directly related to her addiction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it fits with the story they want to tell.
Her roommate also dies.
And it kind of, especially with like spoilers for the ending, is accepting that your actions had consequences and they can't be reversed.
Quick side tangent. We do have a spoiler warning at the beginning of every episode, but I don't think we've ever, in like almost 50 episodes, we've never explicitly said every review we do is a full spoiler review.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just explicitly saying that for the first time in a year.
Yeah.
And then a new theme that I kind of picked up on is the letting go of loved ones. Like her brother Matt dies in like at the end of the first act. And then, like, her whole motivation throughout the movie is using the box to try and find a way to get him back. And by the end of it, like, her realization is that she has to let him go. And that it kind of seems to be, like, her arc is... Her end of it is accepting his death, even though his death is total shit. Yeah. Like, he totally gets fucked because of her.
Yeah, so did the one girl in the
Nora.
band.
Yeah.
Oh, that was bad.
Yeah, that was like... So her brother and her roommate both have terrible deaths and don't get revenge, redeemed, or anything. Not that I'm saying you should try to...
They're literally the innocent people that get fucked over in a drug addiction crosshairs.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I guess if you're looking at it as an addiction story, like, that fits. But I noticed it as being different to the original story where it's more about the bad people get punished and the innocent people get away.
Yeah, I mean, it is different.
Okay. But not necessarily bad.
Not necessarily bad. I will say that I did see more than one, because, again, I was like really into this on Twitter and shit. Mm-hmm. I did see it's so much more realistic, and I'm like, okay,
I guess so.
But is it more entertaining? Like, realism to me is only something I care about in a story that's literally trying to be realistic.
Yeah, I care about... I want realistic characters, but not necessarily realistic plot or premise or outcomes. Yeah, like I want real people.
I want logical conclusions. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying this didn't give it to me. It's just an argument that I get tired.
I don't think this movie is more enjoyable to watch than the original movie.
Yeah.
But I also don't think this is a bad movie.
No, it's not a bad movie.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
All right, so let's jump into characters, because unlike Hellraiser, this actually has a lot of characters. And we're not going to go deep on all these. Just got some of them flagged up here. So our protagonist, Riley, who's played by Odessa Azion. And real quick, before we get into this entire cast, I had only seen one of these people in another thing. All of the entire cast was new to me, with one exception.
I couldn't tell you if I'd seen any of them before.
I went through all of their IMDb pages to double check. I didn't go through all the Cinebites, all of their pages, but like everybody else, I did. Okay, so Riley.
She exists. She's not bad. I don't think she's as endearing as something like Kirsty. I prefer endearing characters as opposed to maybe flawed ones.
She's definitely more... She's definitely more three-dimensional and more of a flawed character to Kirsty is kind of a cute girl who gets caught up in her parents' shit.
Yeah.
So I can see both sides of it, because I do also like Kirsty more, but I wouldn't argue with somebody who said, well, Riley's more realistic. She's more of a human being. She has flaws and problems. And
if that's your preference,
But like you said, that doesn't mean it's more entertaining. But it probably does mean it's more entertaining for some people.
I was watching this movie and my mom comes in right when she's getting fucked.
Nice.
And that happens every time.
Shout out to Anita.
So
I need more sex scenes.
There is that.
Did your mom listen to this? Probably not.
Sometimes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hi, Anita.
Yeah. It just seems to be like sometimes she's just like, oh yeah, I was listening to that.
I liked Riley. She's not the best horror movie protagonist of all time, but she's also definitely not the worst.
She's serviceable.
Yeah. I did like Odessa Zion's performance. I thought I was kind of impressed with her. I thought she did a very good job.
Very good act. I get the addict trying to make money so she can just basically live.
I liked the performance in the actress more than I actually liked the character. Yeah. And I would be happy to see her in more stuff. You know what I thought would be cool is if she ended up being in the third X movie. Because I think she could go in there with Mia Goth and fit in there really well.
That would be good. That would be good casting.
Yeah.
The screaming match between her and her brother made me uncomfortable.
Oh my god, yeah. I turned my TV down like 10 notches when that was happening. That was just say it! Get the fuck out! My favorite character is her brother's boyfriend.
I fucking love him.
He's the best character, and I love when she's trying to leave, and he's like, "Don't fucking go. It's just a bad night. Go back inside."
Yeah, just take it out. That's cool.
And then of course she leaves, and that's when all the bad shit happens. But okay, all right. So talking about the brother, Matt, played by Brandon Flynn, very important character, but not in a lot of the movie. Less of a character and more of motivation for Riley, I guess.
Yeah.
His boyfriend Trevor, or not Colin.
Yeah.
His boyfriend Colin ends up being the more important. Maybe not the more important, but getting way more screen time.
I thought he was going to be a bigger part of the movie, like when they first introduced him, and then he gets dragged off to hell, and I'm like,
that's shitty.
I bet you he dies right now. She's not going to be able to get him back, and that's going to be like the big end. Turn.
And that's what happened. Yeah, it's very. Those critics who called it formulaic are not wrong.
Yeah.
Here's one thing. First, Trevor is Riley's boyfriend. Colin is Matt's boyfriend. So let's talk about Trevor, Riley's boyfriend, played by Drew Starkey. Here was my thought process watching this movie. Like, okay, they're fucking, and then they go out and they leave, and it's established, oh, she has drug problems. He's like the bad influence boyfriend. I'm like, oh my god. This guy is just going to be the total douche. This guy is going to be a giant dick. And like, oh, actually, he's kind of nice to her. He's kind of supporting. Like, he like invites her to do this crime with him, but he like gives her several opportunities to opt out. And he's not pressuring her into it. It's not like he's like, hey, if you want drugs, you got to do this. He's like actually kind of cool. And then he's like, he believes her about the box, and then he's helping her investigate. I'm like, oh, this is kind of a refreshing take on the douchey boyfriend character. Oh, and then at the end it turns out
he's just a douchey boyfriend. I wish I could say I didn't see that coming, but I'm like, okay, when's he betray her?
Yeah.
When's he betray? I almost tricked myself into thinking it wasn't going to happen, because it did take a pretty long time.
It did.
And so, like, they held that as close to the vest as possible, to where I was like, oh, okay, maybe he's just kind of an okay guy.
Yeah,
that's the lesson of the movie.
I was happy with. I was like
his worst thing was like the go do a crime meme.
And I'm not saying that stealing is bad, but I mean, he didn't pressure her into it. Even up to the point where they're like pulled up there in the car, he gave her another opportunity. We can stop.
Up until the reveal that he's been working with Voth the whole time. Mm-hmm. I was like, this is just kind of a. Like, not a great, because this is very Clive Barker. They're all very flawed people.
Yeah.
But up until then, he was just kind of like, he's just kind of an okay dude. He was kind of the Kirsty.
Yeah,
up
exactly.
until that point.
And then it's just like, oh, it's just like every other movie. Like, great.
So,
which was disappointing, but I mean, what are you gonna do? All right, so Colin, played by Adam Faison. This was the one person I recognized. He was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Do you remember this character? He was in the first Avengers movie, and he was in Winter Soldier. S.H.I.E.L.D. agent Jasper Sitwell.
No.
Okay, let me just show you a picture of him, because you go, oh, that guy.
Okay.
This guy, Adam Faison, played the young Jasper Sitwell in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's your obscure Marvel Easter egg there.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But yeah, this guy was my favorite character. I mean, he was the comic relief, but he was also like the wisest. Yeah. I felt like
he ended up being the Kirstiest.
Yeah. And
I thought it was going to be the boyfriend. I tricked myself into thinking it was going to be the boyfriend.
And like Kirsty, like in the book, he got to fucking live, and I was convinced he was going to die.
I kind of appreciated that.
Yeah, I did too. Like, I was like, oh man, the character I like gets to live.
I do appreciate when characters I like get to live.
Yeah. One of the smartest things I ever heard in a podcast was actually about Marvel, and this was pre-Infinity War, pre-Endgame. Somebody was talking about the Marvel movie franchise, and he said, well, one of the things I really appreciate about it is that they don't kill their characters off, because when you're writing a movie, it's harder to let your characters live than it is to kill them off. And that's just something that always stuck with me. And obviously it doesn't really apply to this because, well, it probably doesn't apply to this because probably these characters aren't going to show up in 7 more movies.
Yeah.
I think that's something I agree with. It's harder to keep a character alive and keep them in a story than it is to just kill them. Okay, so our Frank clone, Voight. Played by Goran Visnyuk. Sorry, Goran, I'm sure I said that wrong. What are your thoughts?
Stereotypical rich white bad guy.
Yeah. He was Frank with money.
I'm not saying there aren't bad rich white people.
Oh, there definitely are.
I'm just saying that as a villain, I've
seen it 1,000 times.
Yeah, it's like the one person who's still allowed to be a villain.
I mean, serviceable in this movie. Yeah. It worked.
It worked for what it was. He sought higher realms of pleasure. The harp thing that strained his
that was weird.
His nerves. I didn't like the design of it. I thought it looked goofy. All these other Cenobites had these very elaborate, beautiful designs, and he just kind of had a thing in his chest.
He looked like he didn't get to finish his steampunk cosplay for the costume contest.
Yeah, I'm not trying to tell Hell how to design its torture devices. Compared to everything else going on in this movie, it looked kind of goofy to me. I
think I would say as a whole, I really enjoyed this movie aesthetically.
Yeah.
And that was one of the few things that stuck out.
It does just kind of stick out.
Yeah.
It looked kind of silly.
Okay. So now we're going to talk about the Cenobites, which is going to bridge from characters into scare shit. Yeah. Because there's so many.
Yeah, I know.
Kill you all! I'll drive you crazy and I'll kill you all! I'm every nightmare you ever had. I am your worst dream come true. I'm everything you ever were afraid of.
Okay, so before we get into them as a whole, let's talk about Jamie Clayton, who played the priest, which is the new Pinhead.
I would let her flay me alive.
Kiss me, bad boy.
As far as Cenobites go, she's definitely the most fuckable.
Yeah.
But
We're not trying to be Well, Ryan's not trying to be misogynist, but I said that we are going to rank them on fuckability.
Okay, so
Cenobites.
She's my number 1. But I'm not staying awake till midnight to go to the GameStop midnight premiere of the fuckability Cenobite game. I'm not standing in line to get a piece of that.
I'm gonna be honest, her voice did it for me.
Yeah.
Doug Bradley, this shouldn't be a hot take. This should just be an opinion.
Yeah.
But again, people are recency bias. This is the best Batman ever. I'm sorry, I do not think she's better than Doug Bradley. I think that there's a reason he's been iconic and that people wanted him to come back.
But I do think she is good.
I do think you should be able to say Robert Pattinson did a good job. You shouldn't have to say he's better than Christian Bale.
I would be happy to watch another Robert Pattinson Batman movie, and I would be happy to watch another Jamie Clayton Hellraiser movie.
Yeah, it's just the little things in fandoms that I hate.
Yeah. Okay, then just kind of as a whole, my immediate thoughts were, and you know me, I'm all about the practical effects. Mm-hmm. This was filled with CG, but I thought it was all right.
Yeah, it was all right.
It wasn't super cheap, and all the scenes were really dark with the CG, so it never looked super awkward. Maybe 5 years down the road, it's probably not going to look as good. But right now, where I'm sitting here in November 2022, I think this movie looks pretty decent as far as CG goes.
I agree with you.
And then design-wise, I like all the Cenobites.
I also like all the Cenobites. I'm looking up a couple of the ones you're missing on this list of fuckability.
My only complaint is that there were so many. Like, new ones kept popping up left and right. So it was hard to keep track of all of them. So the ones I have listed here in our notes are the Priest, the Chatterer, the Weeper, the Gasp, and the Asphyx. And then I guess the Leviathan I didn't write down because Voight becomes the Leviathan.
Yeah.
And then what else am I missing?
Hold on, I'm letting this load. We'll just go down this list on the fuckability and we'll add as we go.
I need pictures. Okay, so I've got a list with pictures. So we're just going to go over them first. So first we have Deep Throat.
Yeah, or known as the Gasp here.
Yeah.
This one's throat is spread way wider.
Okay, so if I exclude the neck down, yeah, she's kind of cute.
I fuck her.
I mean, she has a very attractive face.
She reminds me of Magic the Gathering.
Ella Schnorn.
She's Ella Schnorn.
Yeah, I thought of that too when I was watching it.
Yeah. So I'd let her Ella Schnorn all over me.
So when Ella Schnorn gets her spark ignites and she becomes a planeswalker, she'll look like this.
I hope so.
The Weeper.
I like the Weeper.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd fuck the Weeper though.
No.
I liked how its arms split open. I liked the noises it was making. That was super creepy.
Yeah. The Asphyx.
Again, I really liked the noises it made. Kind of bound up. I smash.
I guess if you like to have a submissive partner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gets a little wild when they get out of the ropes.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Mask.
I would not smash the Mask.
No.
Because there is no dick. And
also, because...
So, no dick deal breaker.
I also don't like his big, over-the-top yellow suit, and he's always spinning around in circles saying, "Wowza!" It's just too much.
Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Jim Carrey should be in the next Hellraiser. He should be the main character.
He's done horror before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just do 23, but with the Cenobitans.
Sure. Did you just say Cenobitans?
Yes. The election is tomorrow. Cenobitans.
It's midterms.
Yeah.
The mother was too much. I left her off the list intentionally. That's too much.
No, I'm a DeFrago porn. I can do this.
No.
Yeah, I could smash the mother.
Nope. Passing. Yeah. And then the Leviathan, Roland Voight.
That mouth is spread wide open, and so will he be.
I cringed audibly when his skin ripped when he was pinned to the thing and
started peeling away like a fruit roll.
Yeah, that was rough.
I will say I will smash.
No, I'm good. I'm not smashing any of these things.
Okay, what about the Chatterer?
They left the Chatterer out of this list.
This is just all the new ones.
Oh, okay. Because the Hell Priest, isn't it? No, I would not. Okay, so I guess the only two that are like even closer are the Hell Priest and the Gasp for me. But honestly, just like no, no, we're good.
The makeup in this movie is so fucking good.
It is really good.
I like just looking at it on the screen. Getting all my bitching out of the way, now I get a gush about some shit.
Makeup, costumes, special effects, like all of that is just really great.
I hate how fuckable I find this thing.
All right, we're moving on. We're moving on.
The power of Christ compels you! The power of Christ compels you!
Okay, so just kind of speculation because we don't know a lot about this continuity of Hellraiser, and we'll throw this to you because you're our Hellraiser specialist here. So would you say that these Cenobites have a different origin, or are they a part of a different theology than the original Cenobites?
No, this is almost directly from Hellraiser 2. Like, you find out that Leviathan is their god. Voight at the end, it's into a Cenobite, and it just tells you that all these people used to be human, and that's revealed also in Hellraiser 2. So this is, like, in terms of Hellraiser, like, it's reworked lore. Now, do they have the same origin story? Well, Pinhead used to be, like, I think he was a World War II soldier who went exploring, and then...
because they're all humans, and... Yeah, okay.
And that's how he found the puzzle box.
Was he a deserter?
I don't remember.
Okay.
It's more hinted at than, like, explicitly told you. Like, you see pictures.
Yeah.
And there's, like, flashes of stuff. So I don't think the new Hell Priestess was a World War II soldier who... I mean, possible.
But, yeah, I mean, that... certainly possible. Actually, I don't have it in front of me, obviously, but I remember hearing a statistic about how many women disguised themselves as men and fought in World War II, and it was like shocking. I'm gonna Google that real quick.
More than 5. I know that in Russia it was kind of common.
Yeah, I mean, they had a whole, there's like a really famous, well, there was 2. There was a really famous sniper platoon of Soviet women, and there was a whole platoon in there, or it's not called platoon, a whole division in the Air Force. There was something like the Night Witches, I think they were called, and they were even more impressive because they had like the shittiest planes. They had to fly like the test planes.
I've been thinking of dating a Russian because they would tell them that I ordered no pickles.
Okay, yeah. So 350,000 women, American women, fought in World War II.
That sounds like a lot.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of shocking.
Were they all combat roles?
No.
But that's still a lot.
Yeah.
That's still like 250,000 more than I was guessing.
Oh my God! Are you Stephen King? No, I'm Dean Koontz. Oh.
Kings and Koontz, your king.
The Cenobites. They're 100% more fuckable.
Mine is also the Cenobites, but also kind of just extending to the whole just aesthetic feel. Also, the music, the tone, in addition to the special effects and the costumes and
All
makeup.
of that stuff is great in this movie.
Yeah. The issues in this movie are story-wise. Yeah. Aesthetically, everything's great. And your Koontz.
Voight's harp chest thing, because when everything around him looks so good and so pretty, it sticks out so fucking much. I still do not like...
Yeah.
Like, thinking about it, I still think... I remember when I first saw it on screen, because, like, they hinted that somebody was in the walls. I'm like, oh, Voight, he's probably a Cenobite now, or, like, half Cenobite, or...
He's like a Cenobite.
And he's like, oh, he fell on something really hard.
He was messing around in a construction site. He was drunk.
Like, seeing the nerves pulled was sort of cool.
Yeah.
And the noise it made was unsettling.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, just seeing it on screen, I was like, okay, exactly what I said.
Yeah.
Just out loud to my own TV.
For me, it's Trevor's Betrayal, which...
Yeah, that's also...
And then my second place is probably... I think it was a little long. I don't really have, like, a good... Like, I would cut this or I would cut that, or it felt like it could have been... It felt like it should have been a 90-minute movie.
I feel like that there is a rewrite in this movie where you completely just cut Voight out. Like, she just they steal the puzzle box.
Yeah, her and her boyfriend
break it
and steal a puzzle box.
Steal a puzzle box. And I get, like, they wanted to, like, show the decadent side of it, and I guess that's what they were leaning towards with that intro.
Yeah, I mean, it's very...
Hellraiser-y.
And it's also a lot of social commentary where the heroes are the millennials who are, you know, fighting to struggle every day to they have a shitty apartment and 4 people have to live there to make it work, and you
also have, like, they're drug addicts, but, like, here's this rich dude who's addicted to the same thing.
Yeah, and the rich white guy's the bad guy, and
so I get it, but I feel like there's a rewrite where you take him out and the movie would move at 100% brisker pace.
I agree. That sounds better. I think...
And then you wouldn't have to have the boyfriend betray. Like, you could still kill him off if you really needed another body count.
Yeah.
But
I'd like to see this movie redone with, like, the same production team, the same cast, maybe even the same director, just with a rewrite on the script.
I don't know if they're working on a sequel, but if they are, I would watch it.
Yeah, I will watch more of these.
But that's that would be my advice, is tighten the script up a little bit. Shave. Even shaving 15 minutes off would have done wonders for the movie.
Yeah. In the movie's defense, I did have to watch this in multiple settings because I cannot watch it with anyone else in my house.
Yeah.
So that does hurt it, but I have heard from other people that they felt like it was too long as well. So
I agree. I'm sitting here telling you. Yeah.
So. Okay, rankings. I put this, and I'm not going to count what number it is, but it's like... It's almost in the middle. Or no, actually, it's kind of... It's like the top of the lower half for me. I have it below the Stand miniseries and above the stuff that I truly didn't like Gotham by Gaslight, Yo, the new Firestarter, It Chapter 2, like...
I'm probably going to put it more mid.
Yeah. It's kind of mid for me. Like, I liked it. I'd probably watch it again. If there's a sequel, I'll watch it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of in the mid to lower level. Again, you can join our Discord, and our rankings are published there if you want to see our full lists.
God, mine's probably going to be higher than I thought it was going to be. It's going to be below It 2017. I liked it more than Pearl.
Yeah, so that is pretty. So that's 5, 6.
It
so
just
it's your
made
number.
the top 10.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's in your top 10.
Wow.
I don't think it'll be in your top 10 very long.
It won't stay there.
No.
Did better on my list than I thought it would. I guess just the designs of the Cenobites carried it that far.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I have it as high as I have it. I mean, we're about to do a whole bunch of Dracula movies, so it's going to get bumped down pretty.
The Dracula, God, depending on which ones I can't even remember which ones we settled on.
We have like 4 or 5 on the list. We may not end up doing all of them.
Yeah, but there's just so many good ones.
Yeah.
And well, so many ones that are worth talking about.
I wanted to bring this up. How many times can this one stupid blade pop up and get them again and again? Like, guys, like, stop holding it like that.
I honestly thought it got, like, you can get 3. Like, the first time a person doesn't know what's going on. The second time somebody new is surprised, then maybe somebody makes a mistake or gets stabbed.
It kept happening.
I might rewatch it and count how many times it happens.
Yeah. I was like, come on. Fool me once, shame on you. Homework. Design your own cinnamon bite. If you were taken by the Hell Priest, what would yours be?
I would be cock cage.
Okay.
And I would have a giant cock cage that had spikes going inward with my hands bound, and they're just everything sexy would drive me crazy and hurt me. That would be the ultimate cuckold.
Ew. That's terrible.
Yeah. But there you go.
So I would be Catboy. Like giant, like 3 or 4 inch needles, like jammed into my cheeks to be whiskers, and then little needles running through my ears to pin them and to kind of look like elf, like Vulcan ears to look like cat ears, and then needles jammed backwards under my fingernails to be claws. Just basically needles all over the place to make me look like a cat.
I like that.
Yeah. I remember years and years ago watching a guy on Ripley's Believe It or Not who was slowly turning himself into a tiger.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Basically that, but faster and more painful.
Mine would just be a lot of cock and ball torture.
Both of those are terrible.
And maybe with my eyelids removed so I couldn't look away.
Okay, and then our question for the listeners, who's your favorite Cenobite from any Hellraiser movie or story? Let us know. Reach out to us on our socials. Who's your favorite? And then for further reading, we've kind of covered this on the past 2 Hellraiser episodes. Do you have any more recommendations? Maybe even like modern movies. Like if you like this, here's another modern horror movie you would like.
No, I would just recommend other Hellraiser movies or other Clive Barker movies like Nightbreed. Maybe even some of the more like fucked up Stephen King stories. Something even like Night Flyer.
Yeah.
It has sort of Hellraiser-y vibes. Like a shitty main character, or a main character that's a shitty person.
When I was writing our outline for the Bone Farm, the Night Flyer is one of the things I thought about putting as a further reading for the Bone Farm.
I would agree to that.
Serial killers.
And because a lot of my like modern horror movie recommendations are for like different sort of subgenres. This is body horror. This is sex horror, I guess.
What if I told you that our episode on this movie was longer than our episode on the original? And our episode on the book.
We did go on a few rants in this one.
We did.
There's probably a lot we can cut.
Yeah, I'm going to cut some stuff for sure. All right, so upcoming on the Horror of Babylon, in December, we are going to cover Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter the first week of December. The next week of December, we are going to cover the film Horns, which we are reviewing for somebody who won one of our giveaways during our 13 Nights of Halloween. Then
he's excited about that too.
I wanted to watch that movie for a long time, and I just never have.
Yeah, I'm gonna tag him in that so much.
It's not based on a book or anything, is it?
I hope not. I think it's based on a comic book.
Yeah, actually, I think you're right. I'm just looking that up real quick. It's based on the 2010 novel by Joe Hill, Stephen King's son.
Motherfucker!
So, okay, here's the question. Hold on, we'll talk about this. Okay. All right. Thank you very much for watching. How many times did you watch this movie?
3 total.
3 times, yeah. I thought I only watched it once. I wanted to find time to watch it a second time, and I just never did.
My first time, I hyped myself up for it a little bit, like, oh yeah, no, this is the second coming of the Batman. And then I watched it again, and I was like, okay. No, it's another Hellraiser movie, and that's fine.
And then the third time
was for this.
Okay, cool. All right, thanks for doing that. Thanks for recording, and thanks everybody for listening. Stay tuned for our socials, and stay scary.
Stay scary, everybody.
And now for the obligatory socials. Please like, share, and subscribe. Follow Daniel at @DStarSick on Twitter. Follow Ryan at Darth Damio on the Bluebird app. You can find the podcast on Twitter at HorrorPod69. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Slasher, and Goodreads. Become part of the Disturbed community by asking for the Facebook group and Discord links. Send dick pics to the Horror of Babylon podcast at gmail.com. Support the show at patreon.com/the Horror of Babylon. In closing, you can let your friends know that the Horror of Babylon is available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, and all other major podcast apps. Stay scary.